Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a cozy and thick basket weave blanket. You can see this pattern has a nice, big, large squares. We're using front post double crochets and back post double crochets to create this gorgeous basket weave pattern. The yarn that I'm using for this pattern is Maxim Starlette worsted weight yarn. I'm working with the color light Aqua, and this is a 100% acrylic yarn. I'm also using crochet hooks for Maxim, so I'll be working with the 5.5 and a 4.5 for this pattern. And make sure to check the description box for the links for the yarn, the hooks, as well as the pattern. This pattern does include 5 sizes, so follow along with the size that you would prefer to make. The sample is our second largest size, but when we work through the tutorial today, I'll be working up a smaller swatch so that we can work through the pattern quickly. So we'll begin with our larger hook. Follow along with your pattern for the size that you're working on. I'm working this pattern in a multiple of 20 plus 1. So I'll be starting with a front post double crochet block and ending with a back post double crochet block. So I'll be chaining out a total of 41. Okay, so I've worked a total of 41. I'm now going to turn my chain so that I can see the back bumps. I'm going to yarn over, go through the back bump of the chain and work a double crochet. So I'm going to work double crochets in the back bump of every chain across. Can sometimes be a little tight to get in there. As long as you haven't done your chain too tight, it should go through fairly easily. So we'll work that across and we'll have a total of 40 stitches. So now I've grabbed some stitch markers because it is confusing to count your rows on this type of pattern. So if you mark each row with a stitch marker, it's going to just be a little easy tip to help keep you on track. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to place a marker. This is our first row. So we're going to work a double crochet in the first stitch. And then I'm going to work a front post double crochet in each of the next 9. So to do a front post double crochet, we're yarning over, we're going around the stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So there I've worked 9, including our starting double crochet. We have 10. Now this will be our repeat pattern. We're going to do 2 blocks, and that will be the repeat because our first block we start with a double, and then the last block we will end with a double. So we're going to repeat the 2 blocks in the center across. So now we'll work back post double crochets in the next 10. So I'm going to yarn over. This time I'm going back to front and then front to back around the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So yarn over, we're going back to front, and then front to back, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, pull through two. So I always just like push my stitch up and go at it from this angle. But whatever feels comfortable for you. So we're working 10. Okay, and now we're working a front post double crochet in the next 10. So yarn over, so I've completed my 10 front post double crochets. So now what you're going to do is continue to repeat 10 back post, 10 front post across until you have 10 stitches remaining, because it will be different depending on the size you're working on, but we're going to meet back up for the last section. So I also want to mark this row, so I'm going to just come back and do that. So now you're going to end, so once you've repeated all the way across your blanket, you're going to end this way. So we're doing back post double crochets in the next 9. So I've worked 9, and then I'm going to work a double crochet in the very last stitch. So we're always starting and ending with a double crochet, but it's still 10 stitches in the first block, and the last block is just the first and last stitch are double crochets rather than post stitches. So now we'll chain 1, and we're going to repeat row 2. So rows 3 through 10 are just a repeat of row 2. So we're going to have 10 rows worked in this manner, and then we flip it. So I'm going to go ahead and work this row with you. So we're going to do a double crochet in the first stitch, and then we work 9 front post doubles. Okay, and then we come to our repeat. So we do 10 back post double crochets, and then we do 10 front post double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and work those across. Okay, so I've worked 10 back post, 10 front post, and we're going to end with 9 back post double crochets and then a double crochet in the last stitch. Okay, and I'm going to work a double crochet in the last stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And I'm going to add a stitch marker to this row so that I stay on track. And I'm going to continue now just repeating. So you want a total of 10. So if you mark every row with your marker, you know when you'll have your 10, you'll stay on track. It just takes the guesswork out. So this is row 4, and I'm going to mark that first stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work up 10 rows, and then I'll meet you up for the next step. Okay, so I've worked 10 rows. I have all of my rows marked, so I'm ending over on this side. So I marked the 10th, worked across. Now, working on the smaller swatch, it does tend to kind of want to curve in, but 2 of your blocks here should measure about 6 inches, so about 3 inches per block, and it's about 3.75 the height of the block. So the blocks are a little bit taller than they are wide. So that means the blanket will be, it's not going to be a square because we're going to work, however many squares you work across, you're going to work that in rows. So if you have 10 squares, you're going to do 10 squares high, 10 squares wide, 10 squares high, or whatever size that you're working on. So the blanket will end up being more rectangle instead of a square. Now, if you wanted to make it more square, you could always just take off 2 rows of squares. So 2 sections of squares. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip, and instead of starting with the front post, we're going to start with our back post. So we're going to work a double crochet in the first stitch. Then we're going to work a back post in this front post. So I've yarned over, we're going back to front, front to back, yarning over, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. We're going to do that for 9. So that's 2, 3. Okay, so I've worked across the 9 in back post, and then when we get to our back posts, we're going to do front posts. So this is where our repeat will start. We'll work 10 front post double crochets, and then we'll work 10 back posts. So we're just doing the opposite of what we were already working. And I added my marker to mark this first row as well. Okay, so I've worked across 10, and now I'll do back post in the next 10. Okay, so I've worked 10, and now I'm going to end with 9 front post double crochet and a double crochet in the last stitch. Double crochet in the last stitch, chain 1 and turn, double crochet, and we're going to start now with a back post double. So back post double in the next 9. So we're just repeating the last row, and we're going to be doing it for a total of 10 rows. So rows 12 through 20 will be repeating row 11. Okay, so now I'll work 10 front post double, 10 back post double, and end with 9 front post double and a double crochet in the last. Okay, so I've worked across 4 rows. I've marked them all off here. Now you will be doing another 10. You will be doing 10 in total, and then as many as you need in repeats for the size you're working on. So I have 5 sizes in the pattern, and how the different sizes work. The smallest size is working across 10 and then working up 10 sections. The largest size across 18 and 18 blocks in length. So make sure just to follow along, keep repeating your sections. So you're just alternating. Once you get your 10 rows starting with back post, then you're back to 10 rows starting with front post, and just continue in that manner. But I want to show you how to work the border. So I'm not going to continue working any more of this. We're just going to hop in so that you get a handle on how to work this border. So we're going to continue. We're not going to fasten off. I'm going to chain 2. And then you can see here with my stitch markers, we have 2 rows. I'm going to remove those 2 markers. And we're going to slip stitch 3 across these 2 rows. So just evenly space your slip stitches, and we're still using the larger hook. Then we have 2 more rows, so we'll do another 3. And then we have these rows. So you're just going to continue in this manner. We're going to be slip stitching 3 for every 2 rows. So you should have about 15 slip stitches worked across this section, and I'll meet you up at the corner. And at the corner, we're going to chain 2. And then as you work across the bottom, you just need to do 1 slip stitch per stitch. And now when you get to the corner, we're going to chain 2 again and do the same thing up this side. So continue working 3 slip stitches per 2 rows. Work across the top, and then I'll meet you back up for the next round. So make sure chain 2 at each corner. So now once you work all the way around, you're going to slip stitch in that starting chain 2 to join, and then you're going to change to your smaller hook. So the 4.5. We're going to chain 3, and that will count as our first double crochet, and we'll work 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. So this is now our corner. Then when we're looking at the stitches, we're going to work a double crochet through the back loop. So work a double crochet through the back loop of each slip stitch, and in the corners you're going to work 3 double crochet. So in that chain 2 corner, work 3 doubles. So now if you need to, you can place a marker in the center stitch of the corner, and this will just help you with the next round. So I worked 3 doubles down in this corner. So you can add markers if you need to, because we will increase on that stitch on the next round. Okay, so this is what the border looks like. We're going to be doing front post and back post, alternating the stitches around. So let's take a look at our work. I've worked now my double crochets all the way around in that back loop, so that gives us a nice clean edge, and we're going to slip stitch in the third chain of the chain 3 to join. Chain 1, and around that same chain we're going to do a front post double crochet, and then the increase for the corner will be in the next stitch, which will be a back post, a front post, and a back post all around the same stitch. So we increase it by 3. And then our next stitch will have a front post, and you're just going to continue alternating this all the way around. So back post, front post, back post, front post. So we'll just have one more round. So when you get all the way around, you'll slip stitch, you'll do a front post in the first stitch, back post in the next, and then you'll do front post, back post, front post in this stitch, and just continue working around. So doing your front post in a front post, back post in a back post. And that's all you need to do for the border. So I have just made the border 3 rounds, so that's about 1.25 inches, but you can go ahead and make it bigger if you want. And once you get all the way around, you'll just slip stitch to join, fasten off, and weave in your tails. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.